Rev up your engines!
Well, luxury car buyers are selling out more and more. With interest rates and the price of cars, they're getting higher and higher. People are still buying them. I guess the rich keep getting richer, too. For the first time ever, more than 12% of the new cars bought, the luxury cars, have a monthly payment of over $1,000 a month. That's more than twice my original mortgage payment in Houston when I bought a house there. And that was a house. It was a lot bigger. It had a lot of land, too. And all new car prices are up 12.6% these years. The luxury car prices are actually up a little bit higher. In June, it was an all-time high for just normal cars. The average normal new car bought was almost $46,000. And we're not talking about the luxury cars. They're just the new ones. And with the interest rates going up, even those payments are getting high. And if you think that's bad, that the price of new cars is up 12.6% over last year, the price of used cars is up 16.1%. So you pay or you pay, whether you get a cheaper car or a more expensive one. It's just the first time ever. All these people are paying over $1,000 a month for their monthly payment to buy a car. It's not chump change, you know? Let's face it. Darren says, I have excessive oil burning in my 2017 Kia Sorento LX Turbo GDI. It's got 93,500 kilometers. Since the last 3 oil changes, 2,800 kilometers, the oil's burned completely. No sign of oil in the dipstick. Kia says they have to do an oil consumption test. Can I drive it still? Well, of course, you can still drive it. Before you do the test, they had the oil. But when they do the test, they'll check the oil level and seal it. Then you drive it like, 1,000 miles, whatever equivalent is in kilometers. And then they say, did it burn enough? Now, if they do, and they replace your engine, great. If they don't, my advice is sell the stupid thing. Prices of used cars are sky high, especially in Canada. I'm assuming you're in Canada, you got kilometers. And you could get good money and then get a Toyota or a Honda that do not have the problems that those crappy Kias do. Every year they say, oh, we fixed our old problems. No, they don't. That's a 2017. It isn't that old, and it's burning oil because Kia makes crappy engines. They've always made crappy engines, and they really don't stand behind them all that well. And even if they say they're going to fix it, sometimes they don't fix them that well. I've had customers have the Kia engines fixed. A year later, the engines blow up, and they say, well, we fixed it under warranty. Now it's your fault. Obviously, they didn't fix it under warranty if it broke a year later, right? But that's how those companies go. So maybe it's just a good idea to get rid of the stupid thing now where you can get money and try to find a Toyota or a Honda that's going to last 6-7 times as long as a Kia and won't be burning any oil at all as it gets older. It's just low quality in the Kias. It's just unfortunate. And their dealerships aren't too hot. They say they're going to fix something, or then they'll say, oh no, you didn't burn enough oil, so we don't have to fix that one. They're always thinking of ways to wheedle their way out of it. Well, Nissan lacquer quality is out again. They recalled 300,000 SUVs because the hood might fly open. Yes, they can't even make hood latches anymore. 322,000 Pathfinders are being recalled. 2013 to 2016 because the hoods might just fly open. It says that dirt and dust on them, that's their excuse, may make them just fly open when you hit the wind. I had a customer years ago in Houston had a sports car. Well, luckily for him, his hood flew up, but it flew up and it flew over his car. So he could see. He lost his hood, mind you. And the guy behind him probably wasn't too happy, but it ripped the whole thing off. Now, then again, that was an Austin Healey, which was an English sports car, not known for quality either. So if you own one of these Pathfinders, you better be real careful. You might do like some customers I have. They drill holes in the hoods anyways. They put those pins with locker pins, and they can never fly up anymore. Nissan says there's a remedy underway. Who knows what the remedy is? You better watch it. You don't want your hood flying up on your Pathfinder, blocking your view and smashing into something. Ashkenaz says, low fuel economy in my car is killing me. I got a 99 4Runner, 170,000 miles. I've used fuel injector cleaning stuff. It doesn't help. I used to get over 400 miles to a tank. Now I'm getting 250. This is killing me. And I moved to Texas. The majority of my driving is highway. What can I do? You bought a 4Runner, right? That is a big, heavy vehicle. Now, you want to make sure everything is working right. If it runs okay, there's nothing major wrong. Go to a mechanic like me, have them do a road test, and we can record all the data and analyze it. Perhaps your fuel trim is too rich, and it's getting too much fuel. In that case, you could either clean the mass air sensors, I show you in my video, make your car run better with a little spray cleaner. Now, if your air filter's clogged, it'll be bad. Make sure it's shifting right, that you feel it going, and it goes through all the gears, so when you're on the highway, as you drive all the time, that it's in top gear. Make sure that if you have an overdrive button is on so it goes into overdrive, because if you don't go into overdrive, you're going to get bad gas mileage. Keep air in the tires. Lower tire pressure will give you worse mileage. If you got any excess weight, take it out. It is a 4Runner. You might have a bunch of crap in there. Take it all out. Make it as light as possible, and then see what kind of gas mileage you're going to get. A lot of times a dirty mass airflow sensor will do quite a bit, though. It could knock it down that much. The only Zanny says, what's the best way to use the scanner during a test drive? I'm going to buy a used 04 Highlander V6. I got a cheap scan tool, but what should I check to see? First thing you want to look at is a fuel trim. Short-term and long-term fuel trim. You want the fuel trim to be in low numbers. Definitely single digits, and lower better. Take my 15-year-old Toyota Matrix. I mean, that thing is like, runs a little lean, and it's adding like 1.5%. That's hardly anything. That's perfectly fine. You run lean, you get better gas mileage. I just drove that thing from Tennessee to Rhode Island. We averaged 37 miles a gallon, so I think it's phenomenal gas mileage, right? You don't want to have plus 12, plus 15, minus 15, then you know something's wrong. And of course, you got a cheap scan tool, but it's going to do all the codes. So look through all the codes, because sometimes people take the bulb out for the check engine light. Check all the codes, make sure there isn't any codes on it too. But the fuel trim gives you a really good idea what shape the engine is. You can really zoom down by looking at the fuel trim, and it should be low. And if it's high, then I'd look at something else, because there's no reason to buy somebody else's problem if it's not running right now. Because Toyotas, I've had Highlanders that had 300,000 miles on them, and they were only off 1 or 2%, and that's perfectly fine for a vehicle that old. Fuel trim's the way to go. Mudar says, I get a clunky noise from the rear when I reverse and brake. I got a Chevy Camaro, 2010. When my car's in reverse, I hit the brakes, it clunks, and then when I go from park to reverse and I apply the brakes, clunks again. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. What can it be? That's a rear-wheel drive vehicle. You hear the clunking in the back. Pray it's just U-joints on the drive shaft. Delaware, jack it up. I got a video how to tell if your drive shaft's bad. Grab it. If it clunks, you can hear where it's clunking. It'd be a U-joint. Pray it's that, but I know Camaros, and you got 176,000 on it. It's often the differential starting to wear, the rear end. Then you'd hear the clunking inside, and a real easy way to do it is watch my video, Finding a Source of Car Noise with Scotty. Mechanics have machines. You can buy one online for 80 bucks. You put the sensors in different parts, and if the sensor you put on the rear end, you hear the clunk real loud, then you know the differential's wearing out inside. If it goes okay, it can still last for a while. They do have relatively weak rear ends on those, and most people drive Camaros like maniacs, and the differentials will start to wear in the back because there's a lot of strain when you're taking off. Dustin Lynch says, I got an 08 Tahoe misfire stumping everyone. There's misfire on cylinder number 3, and that's a non-active fuel management cylinder. It never turns off like the other ones do. The motor was rebuilt 40,000 miles ago. Cylinder 3 wasn't too far off, maybe 15 psi lower than the others. It runs great, but it keeps getting a misfire. Sometimes when it misfires, you don't notice it. Sometimes it's violent. And it only seems to misfire when it's idle. Help. First things first. You say it only does it at idle. One of two main things do that. If you got a bad fuel injector on cylinder number 3, when it's going slow, it's got to be perfect. And if it doesn't go perfect, that'll misfire. Maybe swap number 3 with number 6. And then if the misfire moves to 6, you know it's a bad injector, right? It's a simple thing that can be done. Also realize it's an 08. So that thing is 15 years old now. It's an old vehicle. I have personally seen on those things, the fuel injection wiring harness goes bad, and then you'll get misfires on certain cylinders. It's not that expensive. A lot of times that's what it is. You want to check that out too. Well, the Supreme Court said that the EPA can't do things about climate change. They were talking about coal-fired electric plants. Maybe it's a secret Biden administration so we can make electricity with coal to run electric cars that people haven't bought yet. The Supreme Court said that the EPA does not have the power to switch or solar panels. They said they don't have the right to do that. And of course it's the Supreme Court, so they have a bunch of legalese nonsense. Chief Justice John Roberts from Buffalo says, and I quote, "It is not plausible that Congress gave EPA the authority to adopt on its own such a regulatory scheme. A decision of such magnitude and consequence rests with Congress itself." Blah, blah, blah. Well, it just basically comes down to that I guess the coal lobby got to them and said, hey, we got all this coal. Let's use this stuff. We can make electricity, right? Rah, rah, rah. Everything getting super expensive now, gas and oil. Maybe we'll end up going back to coal. Who the heck knows? We probably won't be driving coal-driven vehicles. Maybe we'll be driving coal-fired vehicles. Well, here's one you'd have to see to believe. An Ohio woman paid a thief $30 to steal her car from a repair shop because she didn't want to pay the bill. Now, they say that the woman allegedly paid this person $30 to steal her car. She owed money at a repair shop. And the guy said, well, if you can't afford it, he pulled it out front of the garage and said, I'll put it in my storage lot and I'll store it there until you get the money, right? Well, in the meantime, there were security cameras and they were filming, and it looked like she handed the guy $30 and then that guy stole the car. But he was caught and he squealed on her. They got the video and they show the woman giving money and the key to the guy so he could steal the car. Kind of obvious he had the key. He stole the car. So how did he get the key, right? Well, the woman is currently being held in a Hamilton County jail awaiting trial. So if you think you can pay somebody to steal your car and pay the mechanic, you might think twice because everybody's got cameras everywhere these days. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.